As you mentioned, you had experience in different well-known companies, and I know that you had experience with SAP Ariba. So I would like to ask you, how is SAP Ariba incorporating intelligent automation into the source-to-pay processes? And can you give us some example of how intelligent automation has improved efficiency for SAP Ariba customers?
And that's a very interesting question, right? So SAP and Ariba is one of the large solutions out there. There's obviously Coupa, there's GEP, there's so many other ones, but SAP and Ariba is obviously one of the areas I spend a lot of time, working with their product and as well implementing them at a bigger scale in organizations, right? So one of the visions which I understand from the products which are getting developed further is to have really autonomous procurement activities incepted in such solutions, right? So on one hand, really having end-to-end solutions with less breaks between the modules, but on the other hand as well, autonomous capabilities embedded, which will give you the ability to almost have processes running by themselves, right? By generating content, like for instance, generating sourcing events if a contract expires, for instance, or generating as well, let's say, insights and recommendations for someone to order, right? So really having that possibility to have a process which is, again, quite recurrent, but at the same time as well requiring some context is what I think these vendors really are looking for. That means that there is embedding now of AI capabilities for recommending to you diverse suppliers, for instance, right, which is a big topic, so that you can make better choices, maybe suppliers with a better, let's say, carbon footprint, right, recommendations for you potentially for alternate products in a much better way than you currently potentially already have, right? The secondary thing as well there is automation, and I think you can imagine that within the space of intelligent automation, there is already with RPA quite a good lever for that. So, building in these type of capabilities and the tools to bridge between the gaps of solutions, between upstream and downstream, for instance, right? So sourcing and requisitioning is something which most of these companies certainly are focused on. And with that as well, an ability to increase the user experience, which is the third point we need to keep in mind, right? So autonomous procurement in itself should be simple, should be intuitive, and should be purposeful, right? So you should have a UI experience for your user, which help them to really get their work done as efficient as possible, right? And hopefully be delighted with that as well, right? That's a big promise. And I think what the companies are currently doing is really making sure they understand where are all of these friction points in the solutions, where automation can help, where AI can help. And with that, eliminate some of the noise which, is generated out of the usage of these solutions, which, in many organizations, they're touching like 3/4 of the population, right? So what you really want is really embedding, capabilities into these tools, which make it easy, intuitive, and as well simple to use. And I think this is where the direction is going for most of these organizations. Sometimes it's with leveraging of additional modules which come from other teams, right? Which come from automation teams, which come from IDP vendors. They come potentially from, let's say from virtual agents, which can be actually plugged in so that you have a guided buying experience, right? You can get guided through your requisitioning process, for instance. And sometimes it's inbuilt already in their own solution by a module which gets actually augmented, right? So I think that's where directionally most organizations are going. So kind of an autonomous procurement view with a high user experience, with a leverage of the data to generate insights for the user to really make better decisions and actually faster processing, right?
Yes, great. Interesting about an autonomous procurement experience and about the suggestions about vendors. You mentioned here a lot of quite good use cases. So I hope that for someone who is using SAP Ariba, it will bring some insights how they can extend their solution and functionality.